Oh, I'm so angry.
Hello everybody, welcome to the 9 Years podcast. I am Nick Draper and I will shortly be joined by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deacons, and AFC Wimbledon first team manager Glyn Hodges for a chat about how the new season is shaping up. Later I will also be testing Stu's knowledge with another round of Whose Nine Is It Anyway, and I'll be looking ahead to the game, the season opener with Oxford in the League Cup on Saturday. But before that, a quick shout out and a call out. Bit of a random one to start with. Shout out. It's actually to Edith Bowman, who was filling in for, I suppose she was filling in for Simon Mayo of the Radio 5 film review, Simon Mayo, the Mayo and Kermode film review. She was in the chair this week. And I'm just going to play you the audio. They were discussing a respondent who had given their experience of leaving the new Christopher Nolan film Tenet early. They had walked out before the end, and this was Edith's reaction.
We saw two other couples leave the film before us. See, this is my bit. Why would you leave a film? Why? The whole point of this film is you need to stay till the end for things to be... Oh, I'm so angry. The one and only time I left a football match and 3 goals were scored. That's why, I would never leave something early. Ever. Again.
And I personally cannot agree more. Never leave early. You never know what's going to happen. It's not as bad as teams playing in a change kit away from home when there's no colour clash with their opposition, but I do find it a little bit odd. Just my opinion. Call out, if it's not already for people that leave football matches early, call out this week is going to go to the EFL for their choice of lettering and numbering on the shirts this year. We have the most beautiful shirt in the history of AFC Wimbledon. So difficult when you get into these things, isn't it? AFC Wimbledon 2002, 1889. But we'll say since 2002, it is the best home kit we've ever had, spoiled by this bizarre choice of lettering and numbering they've used. The lettering, not too bad, at least it is legible. The numbers, who knows what's going on with that? I've never seen a 4 look like that. I'm not even sure if it is a 4. But that is what we are left with for this season, so we're just going to have to put up with it, I'm afraid. But I imagine for those who have visual impairments, it will be a struggle to read some of those numbers, I think personally, anyway. Right, other thing I have to do before we get to Glyn is a shout out for our patrons. So last week, as you know, we launched our Patreon account, so some benefits for people that pay £5 a month. Patreon.com/9YRS podcast to do that. Thank you to everyone that has done that already. Much appreciated. Hope you've enjoyed the content so far. And a shout out to a few of you alongside your special 9 Years podcast squad number. I'll start with number 7, Michael Shepherd. Thank you very much, Michael, for joining up. Scroll down the list to number 82, Matt Harwood. Might have heard him on the Death Squad radio show the other week. Thank you, Matt. Number 82, Matt Harwood. And Chris Arkle, right down at the bottom there, 97. Squad number 97. So welcome, Chris, to the Patreon. Please remember, if you sign up, you do get your own 9 Years podcast squad number. So far, nobody has taken the numbers 13, 30 or 1. But if you do, that does mean that you are a goalkeeper. As I say, much appreciated for you signing up. It does help keep this weekly podcast free for everyone. And any profits above that, above our expenses, will be ploughed back into the club in some regard. It just means we save on things like advertising as well. You know, when you do those, no one really wants to listen to those podcast adverts you get where the presenter pretends like he uses or she uses the product that's on offer. Because you know that nonsense they all spout. Anyway, I'm spouting nonsense now, so I should probably move on. And I will do. This is our interview with Glyn Hodges. Please enjoy. So we're joined now by Glyn Hodges. We are speaking a couple of nights after the game with Charlton in the what is now just called the EFL Trophy. I think it's lost its sponsorship for this year. Glyn, in regards with that competition, what's your approach to it? Is it win at all costs with this competition, or are there other things that these games give you the opportunity to do?
Ultimately, it's a win, 100%. 100%. It's a you know, I mean, it's a progression for the club. I don't think too many people like it, too many fans like it. But once you get to the semi-final and there's a Wembley final on the horizon, all of a sudden everybody loves it. So it's potentially a competition that we want to do well in. We could do well in. It's and we want to. So, but you do also, we looked at a couple of debuts. I put Archie Proctor on, and it looks a bit, so you have a look at people as well. But you still feel your first eye is making sure that we want to get that win. And then if you can, try and experiment or blood a few of the players in, then that's great. If you can get both done, then it's a win-win.
A lot of our fans, I imagine, aren't too familiar with Archie just yet. What can you tell us about him? What sort of player is he?
Well, he's a no-nonsense centre-half, got a great left foot, big and strong. He's been working hard in the summer. And, I mean, what we've done this year, I think we've took eight of Rob Turvey's squad from last year. And they've all come up, and now we've given them pro contracts. So they're training with us full-time. And they've come back and they're fit and strong, and they've done really well. So, there's a few, perhaps, it's just happened that Archie was able to play that position, but there's one or two others that could have played. So, at the moment, we're just trying to fix them up with a few loans and get them playing. But, there's one or two that are good. But Archie's a good lad, strong.
It's interesting. I was sort of gone off a little bit topic, but in terms of the salary cap, I was keen to sort of like see what your thoughts are on that, because I looked in the squad, and we've got, out of a 23-man squad, we've got 8 of them under the 21, which doesn't count in the salary cap.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious decision during the summer, thinking that might come in, or was that the way you wanted to go?
No, I think we spoke in lockdown, and I think I said to you, I didn't think it would come. I didn't think it would happen, and we've got no. I mean, listen, we're miles under the salary cap anyway, so it doesn't even affect us. But I honestly didn't think it would come off. I didn't think that they would vote on it, and it's great for us as a club now to be in the same financial footing as Sunderland's, Portsmouth's, and Ipswich. And Ipswich's of this world in this division, so it's a great leveller. Now, the only other side of the coin is that I'm not sure about, which I'd like to see. Well, I'm interested to see what happens. Is we're still ambitious? I'm ambitious. I want to. I've been at this club and we've gone through the divisions and gone to the top. So I still would think the club could do it again. And after where we've come from and where we're going, and Plough Lane, anything is possible. But the gap, if you're not careful, the gap between the League One and the Championship will be a bigger gap than the Premier League, because there's no salary cap at Championship. The three teams that went up last year, 2 stayed up by the last kick of the last game of the season. All 3 at one point were in the bottom 4, and Charlton unfortunately went down. So it looks quite a big gap to jump as it is now without the salary cap. So in one ways it's great, in other ways it'd be interesting to see how what will happen when after the salary cap comes in, how them teams progress when they do go up.
Yeah, because you're right. Because obviously, the Championship, they were thinking. I think it was an £18 million salary cap. I think they were looking at per squad. But even so, you think about that gap. There's obviously 1.5 and 2.5 between League One and League Two. But
that's doable, isn't it? That's definitely doable. And then you've got to go. You're jumping up to that big. Which, but again, it's not in place. So someone have a bigger budget than that. Obviously, they're not agreed to it because people don't want to drop, especially if you're just being relegated. From the Premier League, you've got that parachute money, you're going to try and get straight back up. So that's a real difficult one. But as a leveler, as a level playing field, but it wasn't conscious on for that at all. We're well under it, and it's if anything, we've got room to play.
Is there a hard and fast rule with the salary cap and the salaries of loan players? Do you know?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm not sure about the loan players. All I know is the loan players we get in. They're normally the salaries. Their salaries are a lot higher than what we pay, so we can just pay a percentage. So we do that as well. We look into it and make sure that they're affordable and they fit the bill. So the salary, the loan players we've got won't affect that. Now, I'm not sure what will happen. Because some are on a lot of money, whether you paid a full whack, I don't know. But it hasn't really. I've not really looked at it at the moment on that way. I've not really given it too much thought. I've seen it's been voted on. We're under the radar on that case. So all things will unravel as we go along.
So going back to the Charlton game, obviously the win clearly would be what you're most happiest with. But what else was your sort of big takeaway from that for you?
Well, look, the win. First and foremost, to be at our first, more or less our first game at a new stadium, it's going to be at home for a few months, was great to get that. To get that over the line, actually get that win. We're going to have to try and make it as homely as we possibly can. We're looking at a way to do that in the dressing rooms and around the place. So, it's nice that the boys have got the first win and a good performance. So next time we go back, they'll be comfortable and good memories of that. So that was the biggest thing. And then after that, it was the way we came back from a goal down. Although that was probably their only shot on target, disappointing to go a goal down. But we could have had a few more goals, and just the energy, the levels of play, some individual performance were terrific. So it was a pleasing night all round.
I think one of the things that was interesting, which I watched, I know we had 7.5 week pre-season, wasn't it? Quite a long pre-season.
Yeah.
I think from what I noticed was that the sort of pattern of play was really good in terms of we got our fullback, wing backs really high, didn't we? In terms of switching the play. And when I'm a really stat person, which is really sad, but on the heat maps, Osu and McLaughlin was spent most of their average position was high in Charlton's half. Is that something that pleased you? Because we looked like we really were utilising our wing backs and then getting.
But I think first of all, the 7.5. I wanted a longer pre-season, but because it was furloughed and the finance in early July or in July to actually do the COVID testing, which was twice a week, meant that we couldn't afford to do it. So we went for a 7.5 week pre-season. Basically, they've not kicked the ball for 4 months, so I didn't want to. We had lots of injuries last year, and I didn't want to. They're coming back from doing nothing. All right, they're keeping fit. They're on their road bikes. They're running. They're doing bits and pieces. They're in the gym, but nothing prepares you from actually when you start playing football and the accelerations, decelerations, the movements. So we just wanted to make sure that we had a longer. It wasn't an intense period. It was a longer thing that we could work on, and that gave us opportunities, to really bed down what we wanted to do. We made some signings, so they need to know, they need to know the way forward, what our expectations were. And to be fair, I think one of the main reasons we could get our wing backs high was because we retained possession for a lot better. We had a lot of passes, which we haven't normally done, or we haven't. So we're just getting used to it, and we're improving. And we're a year down the line, even the boys from last year have got a lot better. So it's again, confidence is a fantastic thing. So they can take a lot of confidence from that performance.
And Loftus Road, how's it working with Loftus Road then? Are we meeting up beforehand and travelling as a group, or are players getting there to themselves? Or
we just use it as a normal home game. We turn up 2 hours before the kickoff, and I do the meeting in the dressing room as we always did at Kings Meadow. It's and then you disperse. So the only thing with QPR, is the parking, but there's a couple of schools that they use and that we're using, one right by the ground, and we've got enough car park spaces, and we're trying to turn it into. I don't want to turn up on a coach. That feels like another away game or a pre-match meal at a hotel. Jump on a coach. That feels like we've been playing. We've been playing away from home every game from the start of the season until we get back to Plough Lane. So it was just saying we're home from home. Try and keep it as keep the routine as it was, and just to make it a bit more homely with a few posters, a few pictures up, and bits and pieces like that as best we can. But it's a good stadium. It's a great stadium, and everybody will. Everybody would love to play there. That might be half the problem. People want to come and fancy it because it's such a good place. But we certainly do, and we're relishing the opportunity to play there.
We won't actually. I'm thinking now we'll be a couple of weeks until we're back there for the first home league game.
Yeah,
we've got Plymouth, Oxford in the League Cup first, then Northampton away first league game. When you look at fixtures, do you have any preferences? Do you read anything into the way the fixtures fall, or is it or are you one of those people that's just like, we're playing everyone home and away, and that's all I need to worry about?
No, you do look at them. And it's quite a northern-based league, and I think most of the ones furthest away from us that we're playing on a Tuesday night. So I think it's Doncaster, Sunderland, Hull. We've got some tough journeys ahead. So you do look at how it's going to pan out and how you recover. How you're going to do the recovery on that one. I think we've got Burton away on the Saturday, and I think we've got Doncaster away on the Tuesday. So you might think, well, do we stay up there and get a recovery up there? Because by the time you go back, you come out, you go back up again. So we'll be looking at things like that. The interesting thing was the first thing when you look at the way the teams were going to play. I think 4, including Charlton, 4 out of the first 5 have only just really finished playing. So you've either been in playoffs, Oxford been involved in the playoffs, Fleetwood have been involved in the playoffs. Who we've got? Oxford has just been involved in the. Pardon, who else?
Northampton
played up in the playoffs, and Oxford has just been involved in the playoffs. So that was another thing at Charlton. We thought, well, how are we gonna compare? Are they going to be fresher than us? They haven't had the extended break we have, but I felt that after that Tuesday one, we looked the fresher and the sharper. That's probably, no one's at the same place. Normally you've got a 6-week pre-season. Everyone's finished the season at the same time, and everyone's starting at the same time. This year, I think they're finishing on July the 20th. They've had a couple of weeks off. Some have had 3 weeks off. It's a bit up in the air. So it might just take a while to even itself out. So it's the unknown of seeing how we're going to match up to them boys who have been training through the lockdown.
And I guess with that in mind, as you're saying that we would perhaps more rested than some of the other teams, probably looking to maybe getting off to a fast start.
Well, that's something that we didn't do last year and probably didn't do the year. That's something that we're notoriously not very good at. So, if we can improve on last year's start, it's a plus. So that was horrendous and gave us an uphill task. So, we'll be. In a minute we can't have another start like that. So we'll be trying our utmost to make sure that we get points on the board early. Yeah.
So it must have been. I was just saying, it must have been pleasing in terms of where the goals come. So Roscoe got his goal and done his celebration. I'm not too sure what you thought of that.
It's been coming. It's nice when that you can see like the relief and the smile on his face afterwards. He beats himself up. He's hard on himself sometimes, and while he's kept himself going, he's had some injuries. He hasn't progressed as it. And he hasn't really had the game time he's had to him to score. You can see the confidence come flooding back, and it's great. And I think everybody in the club was pleased for it. So he can do it. I don't mind them celebrations if it means he's scoring and do what he wants.
And also we got a goal from that piece. So we've got some towers of centre halves.
Well, that's something we're looking. Last year we drew 11 games. There was so many games that went a goal either way, or the 11 draws we had. And I keep trying to, we didn't score enough goals, and we got some great set piece deliverers. We got some people, some giants. I mean, Tyrrell's headed that one in, and in fact, I had half time. I've had a go at them, saying that the deliveries were going in there, and that's why we've done it. We've been doing it all pre-season. We've been practicing all pre-season, and I just said it was just I was annoyed that they weren't putting into practice what we was doing. So I had a little bit of a go at them, and in the first quarter, second half, they go and put an one in. So I'm expecting. I mean, it's not a hard improvement really, because we're so poor here. But if we can get that extra goal from somewhere, if we can get an extra 5 to 10 goals at a set piece, then they're points, and then points of pressure. So it's something that we're consciously working on.
How are you happy with the signings that have come in? So we've reshuffled through the middle in terms of Woodyard, Ollie Palmer still to come in, Chislett. We also had Jakob, and I apologise, I will learn his surname through the season. He got Oksana. We got Oksana. Yeah. So he got the Brentford B Player of the Year last year. And their system's different, isn't it? Because they don't have an under 23s; they play friendlies. So that's quite a good on. Are you happy with how the new players are settling in at the moment?
Yes, I am. Yeah. Well, Yako, we played against him last year. He played. I think he scored a penalty in one of the games. I think it's either the London Senior Cup or the Surrey Senior Cup. So we knew about Yako, and obviously it's with the tie we've had with Marcus coming in and Mads coming in. We always look into them. So every year we're looking for the next one. Where's the next one coming in? So we're happy that he's come in. Unfortunately, we've lost him to international duty, so he won't be about until he's back next week. But all of them come in. Alex Woodyard, who's been a top performer in this level. He's at this level. He's played at good teams, Peterborough, and he knows the game. And Ollie's obviously scored goals down there. But Ethan Chislett's come in from the conference, and he was very, very good the other night. Really pleased with him. So there's I keep saying it, but I do quite like the balance we've got, and also we've got legs. We've got energy, and we cover the ground. So that's another good thing. They're very athletic. So it's the output the other night as well, which was tremendous. So we're looking fit and strong. As I say, it's just a little bit of luck, improve on them set pieces, and just keep showing confidence and keep belief, a little bit of self belief, and. We hopefully we'll get a few more points than last year.
In terms of the squad coming together, do you see echoes from some of the teams you'd have played with in the 80s? There does seem to us a few similarities in the makeup of this squad.
Go on, very hard. What do you see?
See a lot of hard-working players, especially in the midfield area, going to put in a lot of yards, going to put a lot of effort in. Yeah. We see a couple of big men up top that we can perhaps play off when needed to be. and pace in the wide areas, like you just mentioned there, that we've brought in.
You've got to be, you know, every game you play in this division, in this league, is a test. There could be different tests. I think we'll go to Northampton, and that'll be you know, I'm expecting the Alamo, so you've got to be able to stand up to that. You'll go to Oxford on Saturday, and they'll be playing football, and they'll be trying to catch you out, and so you've got to have that. So you've got to have the tools to win the game. So, you know, the best teams over the season, you know, have that. So we've just got to, you know, we know you've got to be fit and strong, and we want to put high numbers out, and we want to be, you know, we want to be physical. We're not in a dirty way, not in a bullying way. Just the fact that, you know, we've just got that desire to do well, and we've got that ability to be able to run all over teams. And then if we've got a few strings to our bow, you know, we know, so be it. So you know, but we're you know, the way the squad's come together. Yeah, we're quite pleased.
Developing a lot of experience as well in the squad.
Well, you know that? You know, we've lost over 500 games our squad. So while it's experience, we sprinkle with a bit of experience, but we still that's a lot of games. You know, your Woodies and Anthony Wordsworth and Waggy. You know, they've gone, and there's a lot of games gone out there. So while you're trying to bring a bit of experience in, what is good is, you know, the lads that we've worked with last year have improved, and they're getting better, and they understand it, and they're showing a bit of nous to get the job done. So while you want that experience, I think we still are sprinkling with experience, but it's still a lot of games to lose. So we're still a young team, but you know, they can be moulded, and they want to do well, and they're hungry, and that's the key.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at that because I noticed the average age for the Wimbledon, Charlton game was, I think, 22 years old, I think. And then it got me thinking, because even though we brought experience in, we've recruited really well, they're not. You're right, we lost 500 worth of games. I think I looked at it, it's like the average age of the league was 27 years old, and the average coming in is 23. But when you look at players like Ollie Palmer, even Che Alexander, Alex Woodyard, they've all got games under their belt at this level. Yeah. So we reduced the average age, we haven't necessarily weakened our team in terms of experience. There's still quite a bit of experience there, isn't there?
Yeah, no, we've changed the squad, and obviously with the budget dropping, we've saved money, and we've had to do that. So, you know, to do that and to bring the calibre of player we've got in, you know, is really pleasing. You know, so but you're right. They've still got that experience, and they're good personalities. They're good. Alex Woodyard is helping the Yankees now. He's great around the place, so he'll pass on a lot of experience. So they're the sort of personalities you want in the dressing room. So yeah. I mean, it's at the moment, and I'm liking what I'm seeing.
So we interviewed Ollie Palmer the other week. He's a character and a half, isn't he? Great laugh. Says it how he sees it. Was that one of the things that attracted you? Because I'll be fair, I knew Ollie Palmer from when he was at Mansfield. I remember he was there, and obviously
they don't like him up there, do they?
Well, yeah. He made a comment. I think Nick made an interesting comparison on that side of it. But is that what you looked for? Because I think we were talking to him about, you know, how does he react to goal in terms of goal scorers are judged on their goals, but he seemed very confident about it as what you brought him in for. But he also seemed very self-assured in terms of his ability. Was that what you were impressed with? Yeah,
100%. I mean, you know, he scored a lot of goals last year at that level, and only deserves his chance. So when someone like that comes up and he's on our doorstep, you know, we probably years past we've lost people like that. So it was good to get him over the line. I think the way that we play, the way that we had 17 shots the other night, but the massive crosses we get in the box. You know, if you've got someone of his stature in there, and you know he's in there, you know, he'll feed off that. In fact, he's watching training now, and he can't wait. He's on the bit so far to see the service we're getting. So we play a certain way that will suit him. Also, looking at Joe Pigott, he seemed to thrive playing with Hansen. When he's not so much leading from the front, he can just be a busy one around him. So there was that as well. But you know, so there's a mix. You know, there's quite a good mix there, and it, you know, it's just one to bring in big target man. You know, we're playing against the teams are getting bigger and bigger. So we've got legs. You know, we've got someone who can be a focal point up front as well. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to him. He's back training, and he's itching to play. He wanted to come on the other day against Charlton. He wants to be involved this weekend, but he's not quite there yet. But you can see he's keen to get going.
So the transfer market still seems a little bit seems quiet still at the moment. Is our business done, or are you just keeping an eye?
Yeah. There's one that's getting. I think there's two. There's two pending. And again, I didn't enjoy January. January I found really, really difficult. I thought January we had a few lined up and didn't drop, and it was like a domino effect. They wouldn't let him go unless they could get theirs. They wouldn't let them go. So, and again, then we was quoted silly prices. Then we're thinking, and I'm like, well, we ain't, we're not going to waste that money here. So, it was going without. We lost Marcus Force and really didn't replace him. So I thought that was horrendous. So this year we were determined, sitting down in end of March, to do all the work and to do the scout, and then saying, right, come on in. I mean, there will still be people that out there. There will still be people, by the season starts. The season starts in still a couple of weeks. They will probably look at their squad and think, well, actually, I need to do a bit more. So that will happen, but we don't envisage that. I think two more over in the next couple of days or by early next week, and I think we'll go with that.
What's your view on the market at the moment? Because it still feels like there's a few players that maybe haven't got clubs and stuff like that. Are people sitting tight trying to see what happens? It's really weird to judge this transfer window, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's. I think when I've spoken to a manager and he's close to signing players, and then their chairman put a COVID clause in. So if there's another spike, that they go down to like 50 or 40 or 50%. So he's losing players. So they're going there. So there are people out there. There was okay till it was probably till August when they I think it was the end of August when the money was stopping, and then there's a few players getting a bit desperate. But there's phone calls. There's phone calls going all the time. There's people telling players about. There's people down there. So you're making calls. That's what we've been doing, and that's what's happening with these last two. But it's a funny market. It's a funny time, and there's going to be some good players who probably won't get back in, or may not get back in the league, and may have to go to the conference or go back then and wait again. So yeah, teams have been hit by the income being turned off, and we've lost people, we've made people redundant, people lost their jobs, we've been there a long time, so it's not good. So it's just one of them things. We were determined to make sure that we get what we wanted quite as early as we possibly could.
There's a real positive feel, and clearly you're positive about the squad going into the season. You'd expect it to be a positive feel with Plough Lane coming on the horizon.
Yeah.
One of the things that's really captured the mood of the moment really is the new kit.
Yeah.
And you were sort of saying to us before we started recording about how it looked in all its splendour coming out onto the pitch on Tuesday night. What are your reflections or thoughts about the new blue shirt we have?
Yeah, the blue. It's a throwback, and it takes me back straight away. And as I mentioned earlier, when we signed Alex Woodyard, we went to Plough Lane to take him round, and Nesta was doing them modelling shots that have just recently been put out, so I could see it from afar. And as soon as you see it, it was like just took you straight back. And I mean, like someone said, it's a nod to the past, and Jones has done brilliant designing it, and I think it's gone down really, really well. What's probably, I mean, on the flip side of that, the disappointing thing is I'm just hopeful that we go back to Plough Lane and it's full to the rafters to see that kit come out of the tunnel. It'd be a shame to think that there's only probably a sprinkling of fans to actually see that happen. But it's magnificent, and I think the boys love it as well. Everyone, they're buying them all for the kids and families. I've got three coming to take back up north, and it's a great kit, and we're proud to wear it. I'm proud to see if we can get the results that. With similar results we had in the past when we used to wear that sort of kit.
I'm not going to lie to you, Glyn. I'm just getting goosebumps actually when you were talking there, because I'm just thinking.
I'm thinking when we play that first game at Plough Lane, I think I'll be outside watching them come out the tunnel. I'll go out early to see them come out. Seriously, that's you can't put a price on that, and it's a shame. I'm just very hoping that everybody can be there to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're hoping. In my head, I'm looking. I think it's Wigan around November time. We might have a cup tie that we might get drawn into. That would actually be a pretty nice one, actually. If you're going to have the first game and packed to the rafters, as you say. Fingers crossed we get there. In the more immediate future, we do have the game with Oxford.
Yes,
on the weekend. Last season, really difficult opponent. One of, I think, probably, in my opinion, the best team I saw last season.
100%. Agree with that.
Yeah. You've already mentioned
I
they
was,
like
I
to
was
play
sort
football.
of, I was sort of hoping they'd go up.
There was that element to it, yes.
But yeah, I mean, Wickham were fantastic. They'd done a job on them and went up. So congratulations to Wickham. And then we were playing Oxford again. But you know, they caught us. They really caught us on a bad day, and they weren't having a great run either. So you know, it's one that we're revisiting early, and one that we'll probably, you know, we're still fresh in our minds. And in fact, I've been sitting here now watching the rerun of that game. So. I'm just doing my prep now for tomorrow's session on Friday, and Saturday's game. So, yeah, it's a tough call. But again, it would just tell us exactly where we are, where I think we are, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Because they haven't really done much business. And I noticed in terms of Jamie Mackey's now retired, who's been around, seemed like been around for ages. Yeah. Obviously, he lost Rob Dickey as well in the week.
Yeah.
It was very impressive against us. Yeah, the only thing Matty Taylor, which I think is in this league, I think he's probably one of the better ones in there, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, good play.
So in terms of, they haven't really changed that much, but it's interesting thinking. I was just saying to Nick about predictions, and I said in terms of a cup game, it's not really a cup advantage, a home advantage, because there's going to be nobody there. So is that how did you find out against Charlton? Because I know we sort of put the sound in, didn't we? The sound effects in.
Yeah.
Players, I'm not too sure about it. I must admit, I've watched the games on TV, and I'm like, I don't know if I like it. It plays tricks with my mind, because I'm sort of seeing there's no fans, but someone's singing. How is it affected by it?
Well, when we played QPR and they had it going, and they had their fan, I'm thinking, do you know what? That's better than a hollow stadium. I mean, I watched, you know, when the Premier League restarted, there was 2 channels, one with sound, one with no sound. And I thought, I'm going to listen to the one without sound, because I want to see if you can pick up the coaches or pick up what they're saying. And it was horrendous. And I'm like, I can't turn it off. So I had the sound off. So I think the sound. I mean, when Adam scored, the old cheer went up. Even I don't know who was on it, because there was a great ball put down the left hand side. Paul Osu got into, and all of a sudden a big massive round of applause went. So someone's actually controlling it. So you know, all I'm not hearing is booing the referee's decision. And that's what we've got to put in. But I do like it, and it's better. It's got to be better than just a hollow sound with, you know, like you can hear the balls being passed, and it's like echoing up the stands. And I think that's horrendous. It's not good. It's not good. Full stop. So if we can get some canned singing or whatever it is in the background, then I'm all for it, to make it as realistic as possible.
What's it been like? So we know in football that industrial language is part of the game. And Ollie Palmer said that one of his things is that he gets silly bookings for that. Do referees hear more in terms of the crowd noise? Must surely block out some of it. Have players had to be careful with that and stuff? No,
I don't think so. I think it's exactly the same. You know, you care. You know, you get the wrong decision, you're gonna say something about it. You shouldn't do, but sometimes that's human nature. And me on the side as well. You react to things. So I don't think that's gonna change it once in the slightest. So that's part and parcel. And the referees, be fair, you know, sometimes they give as good as they get, but they're there to be shot at. But it's okay. I don't see. You know, the only probably thing, you know, if you can pick it up on the mic, that's another reason why probably the fan noise is a good thing, because you won't pick it up. I remember I played for Watford, and I swore in front of the family stand, and then they got a big complaint in, and I got told off by the Watford manager for swearing in front of the family stand at Vicarage Road, and I'm like, sorry, but he just kicked me out. I'm trying to explain myself, but you're not allowed to swear. I said, well, I'll go and play on the other side of the pitch then. So, you know, it happens, doesn't it? And how many times did the commentator said, we apologise for any of the language you just heard? So you're going to hear it, and it's not going to stop, and that's it. Yeah.
I understand there is one club, I won't expect you to comment on this one, Glyn, but there is one club in League One that said they want to, in terms of piping in crowd noise, they want to keep the match day atmosphere as realistic as possible. So they're just going to have total silence, and I'll leave that to your imagination as to which club I'm referring to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got you.
Yeah. On Saturday, of course, I'm wondering. We have got George here. George, takes off of mute a minute. George, have you organised like some form of platform that you can look over from the car park at Oxford?
I've already got I've got a crane coming to the car park behind the goal.
Yeah.
I'm climbing up to the top. Yeah.
I'll
be there at my usual time. I'm arriving at 2:05 Saturday morning. So
Pompey fans do that. Pompey fans got for the playoff semi-final, wasn't it? They got a sort of a van and put loads of stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's a strange ground at the best of times.
Well, I've been watching the games there. I've been watching it and I'm thinking, we could have done that, couldn't we? We could have just done one stand and left 3 open areas, couldn't we? If we, like Plough Lane, but at least we thought about it and putting some, we're putting some temporary stands in. As good as they are, they're fantastic. But it just fits it, doesn't it? They just got an open end with a little wooden fence there, isn't there? Yeah. You can see the car park. So the point of that is they could have easily put something temporary in, couldn't they?
I thought they'd do something with it because for me, if I was going there every week, it's just an odd experience when we've been there. That just an open end is just. I mean, it's in a way it's a throwback to the sort of early '90s where all the clubs were rebuilding their grounds and you had. Yeah,
well, Huddersfield did it for a while. Huddersfield did that. They knew that John Smith's on McAlpine, what it was called back in the day. When I played there, it was. But then they filled it in straight away. So they obviously had plans, but that's been there quite a long time, that place, and they're not got any plan where they're fighting. I think there's an infight in there with the owners and things like that, isn't there? So I'm not sure if it's going to get done.
Sort of wrap up. Plough Lane, I thought it'd be good to end on that. What's your opinion? The old seats went in, didn't they? I got really excited about that, and I think George knows where he's sitting now. I think I've.
You got George? You got a blue or a yellow seat? What you got?
I'm hoping I've got a blue one. If I've done the math right,
people are working it out, haven't they? People have actually gone out and know what colour seat they're in. Yeah. Brilliant. Now we this end of last week we because before lockdown. I think I took 6 up there, and then it finished. And then so we've made a conscious effort that part of this pre-season. So every player's gone up there, every member of staff's gone up there. We had a week where after training we just took groups of 6 or 7. So they've all been up there, and you go underneath with all the dressing rooms are plasterboarded out, and now the seats are going in. We went up to the top and we went behind the goal. What's that stand behind the goal? We come out the tunnel and go left. Is that the north stand? Is it?
Yeah. It's the way stand, isn't it? Yeah, it's the north.
Right, so it's the south one, the home. In fact, no, the home one. We went and stood up there and saw that. So we've been all over. I mean, it's every time you go, something's changed. Something's changed. The seats going in. We haven't had the team photograph yet. So I'm hoping. I've asked if we can go and have the photograph with the stand. With the back of the stand in place. That'd be fitting. But I'm waiting to hear on that. But yeah, it's just it's on the horizon. That's all, and it's getting better and better, and it will do. So, can't wait.
From a technical point of view, obviously QPR. Is there much difference in dimensions of the pitch in terms of it?
No. There's 2 meters. I think there's 2 meters left. Same width, 2 meters. They're probably 2 meters shorter than what we're getting. That was we got quite a big slab of grass there, so. I just said we've got years of data of Kings Meadow, years of GPS, and we compare every year how we're doing. So I just said, look, we've got a mirror Kings Meadow, keep it the same size, keep it the training grounds the same size. So it's just we're going to point practicing free kicks, and then going down you've got another 4 meters or 2 meters either end, and so we're keeping it exactly the same size. So it's probably a little bit longer than Loftus Road, but the width is exactly the same.
So I think we've got about 53 days. I did count it. I know I'm being quite sad there.
If you counted it, surely you know exactly it's 53 days.
Well, I did. I just, I didn't want to sound sad, but I suppose I have anyway. If you, in your head, have you got a plan in terms of getting them out? Have you got a plan in terms of being able to get them to the pitch, get used to it? Because it's going to be very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, straight away we're going to have to go. We're going to want another session at Loftus Road, so we're going to go up there. I think in the contract we're allowed 1 more session there, so I'll take a training session up there. And then there's certain test events. There's certain test events they've got to do. So I don't know whether there's going to be like an open training session day. I mean, that would be great again. When we say open day, again it depends on how many numbers and if we can get people in, because them sort of days are great. And if we had an open day at Plough Lane, again I think you'd feel that East Stand easy. It's there's certain things we want to do, but we've got to spend at the moment. You go down there with an art, you've got to be all hard at and boots on. So, but we will eventually going to have to take. I want quite a lot of sessions down there. We've got to get used to it. We've got to use it. So it's got to be home, and I know that's going to be penciled in. So there is a plan. Yeah, 100%. We're going to be going down there.
Great. Well, Glyn, all the best for Saturday or for the start of the season.
Thank you very much.
I hope to catch up with you at some point. But yeah, all the best. Thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, Nick. Cheers,
And
Stuart.
hopefully see you at Plough Lane very soon.
53 days, apparently.
53 days. Yes. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Glyn.
Cheers,
Thank you.
thanks very
See you,
much.
Jules.
So week 2 of our new game, Whose 9 Is It Anyway? And this week, Stu, I've picked balls at random. I'm trying not to laugh at what I've just said. And the number that came out of the hat, bag, whatever you want to call it, was the number 7.
Cool.
So 3 years I'm going to give you. You have to tell me which player wore the squad number 7 in these 3 seasons. And the first season I've got here is 1993-94.
See, number 7 makes me think it was Neil Ardley, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head now whether he would have been 7 or 11 or actually not even either of those. 7. Thing is, nowadays, like a single digit, you're not used to them now. You're sort of used to the 25s, the 23s, the
26.
Yeah. I'm going to Neil Ardley.
Okay. What about 2000-2001, which was our first season after being relegated from the Premier League?
Oh, crikey. I don't know who it would have been. I'm trying to think of the actual team. I try and forget about that team that got relegated. I can't think of.
Let's just chuck a name out there as a guess.
Well, I'm thinking Neil Shipperley would not be number 7, but I'm desperately trying to think of what team that was now. Would Damien Francis have been in that 7? Damien Francis.
Okay. And then finally, our first year with squad numbers under the guise of AFC Wimbledon, which was 2009-2010, our first season in the conference.
I'm going to go for... I'm going to get this right eventually. Sammy Moore.
Sammy Moore. Okay. Right. Your total out of 3 this week?
I don't even think I've got one. I don't feel confident about any of them.
I'm tempted to say you got a 0.5. And you'll see why when I go through the answers. So 93-94 was actually Andy Clark. Sonic the Hedgehog was number 7.
Well, number 7?
And to cut, I won't go into the details, but I happened to be watching footage earlier of our 3-2 defeat at Everton on the last day of the season that year, where he sort of scored / own goal and turned around with number 7. So yes, it was Andy Clark. You said Neil Ardley, but Neil Ardley actually wore number 7 in 2000-2001. So there's your half point, kind of. Yeah. You said Damien Francis for that one, but yeah, Neil Ardley was, I think he was 18 in the Premier League, and then we got relegated and he got to number 7. And then finally, you said Sammy Moore, and I can tell you that in 2009-2010, it was Sam Hatton.
Do I not get a 0.5 for the fact of the right first name?
I can't do that one, surely.
This is a hard game for me. I'm not, as you can tell, my squad numbers are not great. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, though. I'm going to do some research. I'm not going to cheat. Do some research.
Right. Use Wikipedia, please, because they have got many mistakes on their squad lists, which I noticed in researching this game. Brian McAllister was never number 3. Anyway, right. So that is Whose 9 Is It Anyway this week. Let us know how you got on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. And that just leaves us then, Stu, to have quickly make some score predictions for the Oxford game on Saturday in the League Cup, a return to the Kassam Stadium, where our record is not great. And our record in the first round of the League Cup is not great. So against a team that I fancy to do well this season, what do you think our chances are of getting one over the manager and us being allowed to dance around our living rooms?
Well, it's a tell you, obviously behind closed doors, the cup games really become a little bit, in terms of home advantage, I don't think is as important as as it sounds in terms of that case. And it's got to be decided. It's got to be decided on the afternoon as well. So I'm going to go for. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go for us to win on penalties.
Nice. I'll take that all day long. Score prediction in the 90 minutes. 0-0, 1-1, 1-1. Fair enough. I am not as confident. I can see us narrowly losing out, maybe 1-0. But I would be happily proved wrong, obviously. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Please check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/9YRS podcast. Updates from the Oxford game will be on our Twitter at 9YRS podcast. Stu, are we going to try and speak to people live prior to kick-off on Saturday? We might be.
Will do.
So you can tune. That'll be on Discord. So if you want to tune into that. And that is it. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. 2 + 2 = 4. We will speak to you again next Friday.